You ever light up a cigarette and wonder where it came from? Ever think about the journey it took to get to your lips? I'm talking about the whole 9 yards, from the seed to the smoke, every step in between. It's a long, dirty process filled with sweat, toil, and a lot of hard work. And for this deep dive, we're hitching our wagon to the Marlboro Man, the cowboy who made smoking look rugged and cool. He's the face of one of the most recognizable brands on the planet, a symbol of freedom and adventure. But behind that iconic image is a whole lot of hard work and some pretty nasty stuff. Stuff that most people never see. Marlboro cigarettes, like all others, start with tobacco, a plant that has been cultivated for centuries, and that tobacco starts as a tiny seed, no bigger than a grain of sand. These seeds are planted in fields, often in places with warm climates and plenty of sunshine, ideal conditions for growth. Think states like North Carolina, Kentucky, and Virginia, where tobacco farming is a way of life. But it's not just the US of A. Tobacco is a global crop. Tobacco grows all over the world, from Brazil to China, each region adding its own unique touch to the crop. Growing tobacco is tough work, requiring constant attention and care. Farmers spend months tending to their crops, making sure they get enough water and sunlight, nurturing each plant. They also have to battle pests and diseases that can wipe out entire fields, a constant fight to protect their livelihood. And once the plants are mature, it's time for the back-breaking work of harvesting, a labor-intensive process. This is where the journey of a Marlboro cigarette truly begins, from the field to the factory. From these humble fields, we'll follow the tobacco leaf as it's transformed into the iconic product we know today, a journey of transformation. Along the way, we'll explore the science, the history, and the health consequences of this global industry. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride, filled with twists and turns you never expected. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty of tobacco farming, a process that is as intricate as it is labor-intensive. Those tiny seeds we talked about, they are the starting point of a long journey. They need a lot of help to become the robust plants that fuel the cigarette industry, requiring careful nurturing from the very beginning. Farmers start by germinating the seeds in greenhouses, giving them a head start in a controlled environment where temperature and humidity are carefully regulated. Once they sprout and grow a bit stronger, it's time to transplant them to the fields, where they can continue their growth journey. Now, tobacco plants are picky and have specific needs. They thrive in well-drained soil and need plenty of sunshine and warm temperatures to grow optimally. That's why you'll find tobacco farms predominantly in the southern United States and other parts of the world with similar climates where these conditions are met. Once the plants are in the ground, the real work begins. This is where the farmer's expertise truly comes into play. Farmers have to irrigate the fields, fertilize the soil, and constantly monitor the plants for signs of disease or pests, ensuring each plant gets the care it needs. Tobacco is susceptible to all sorts of problems, from fungi to insects, which can devastate a crop if not managed properly. And let me tell you, dealing with those problems is no picnic. It often involves the use of harsh chemicals. These chemicals can be harmful to both the environment and the workers who handle them, requiring strict safety measures. As the plants grow taller and bushier, they start to develop the large leaves that are the heart of the cigarette industry, rich in nicotine. These leaves contain nicotine, the addictive substance that keeps smokers hooked, making them highly valuable. Harvesting these leaves is a labor-intensive process, often done by hand, requiring precision and care. Workers carefully pluck the leaves from the stalk, starting from the bottom and working their way up as the plant matures, ensuring each leaf is harvested at the right time for optimal quality. So we've got our tobacco leaves, freshly picked from the field, but they're still green, moist, and not ready for smoking. That's where curing comes in. Curing is the process of drying and fermenting the tobacco leaves, transforming them from their raw state into a smokable product. There are a few different methods of curing, each affecting the flavor and aroma of the final product. Air curing is the slowest method, hanging the leaves in well-ventilated barns for several weeks. This process produces a light-colored tobacco with a mild, sweet flavor. Then there's flue curing, which uses heat from a flue pipe to dry the leaves more quickly. This method results in a tobacco that's higher in sugar content, giving it a sweeter and more cigarette-like flavor. It's the most common method used for cigarette tobacco, including Marlboro. Finally, there's sun curing, where the leaves are laid out in the sun to dry. This method is often used for cigar tobacco and produces a dark, strong flavored tobacco. Each curing method plays a crucial role in developing the unique characteristics of different tobacco varieties. Section 4. Blending and cutting. The recipe for a Marlboro. You wouldn't believe the science that goes into making a cigarette. It's a meticulous process that involves a deep understanding of chemistry, biology, and even a bit of artistry. Once the tobacco leaves are cured, they're shipped off to factories for processing. This is where the journey of the leaf transforms into the cigarette you know. This is where the real magic happens, at least in terms of creating that signature Marlboro taste. The factory is a hive of activity, with machines and workers ensuring every step is precise. You see, different types of tobacco have different qualities. Each type brings something unique to the table. Some are strong and full-bodied, while others are milder and more aromatic. This diversity is crucial for creating a balanced blend. Blending these different tobaccos is like creating a recipe. It's a delicate balance of flavors and strengths. Master blenders, like chefs in a way, carefully select and combine different varieties to achieve a specific flavor profile. They have years of experience and a refined palate. They might use a blend of flue-cured tobacco for its sweetness and aroma, which adds a pleasant undertone to the smoke, along with some burley tobacco for its strength and body. This gives the cigarette a robust backbone. A dash of Oriental tobacco might be added for its unique spice and complexity. This adds an exotic twist to the blend. Once the blend is perfected, the tobacco is shredded into fine strands. This step is crucial for ensuring the tobacco burns evenly. This makes it easier to roll into cigarettes and ensures a consistent burn. The rolling process is highly automated to maintain uniformity. Imagine giant chopping machines, slicing and dicing those leaves into tiny pieces. These machines are marvels of engineering. It's all about precision and consistency. Every cut, every blend, every roll is meticulously monitored. Every Marlboro cigarette needs to taste the same, pack after pack. Quality control is rigorous to ensure this consistency. The shredded tobacco is then treated with various additives. These additives are carefully measured and mixed. These additives serve a variety of purposes, from enhancing flavor to improving burn rate. Each additive has a specific role. Some additives, like humectants, help keep the tobacco moist, preventing it from drying out and becoming harsh, while others, like flavorings, mask the harshness of the smoke. This makes the smoking experience smoother and more enjoyable. It's a complex process, but it all comes down to creating a product that smokers will find satisfying. Every step from leaf to cigarette is designed to deliver that signature Marlboro experience. Section 5. Rolling up a Marlboro machines and filters. We're getting close to the finish line, folks. The blended and shredded tobacco is now ready for its final transformation into a cigarette. This is where the human touch gives way to the precision and efficiency of machines. Massive, automated machines churn out thousands of cigarettes per minute, each one identical to the last. First, a thin sheet of cigarette paper, often made from flax or hemp, is fed into the machine. The shredded tobacco is then deposited onto the paper in a continuous stream. The paper is then rolled and glued, forming the familiar cylindrical shape of a cigarette. A rotating blade cuts the long cylinder into individual cigarettes, each one perfectly sized and shaped. Now here's where things get interesting. Remember those filters you see at the end of a cigarette? Those weren't always there. They were introduced in the 1950s in response to growing concerns about the health effects of smoking. The idea was that filters would trap some of the tar and nicotine before it reached the smoker's lungs. Of course, we know now that filters don't make cigarettes safe, but that's a story for another time. In the cigarette-making process, filters are added by a separate machine that attaches them to the end of each cigarette. And just like that, the cigarettes are almost ready for packaging. Section 6. Packaging, the Marlboro Man's image. A cigarette is more than just tobacco and paper. It's a symbol. And few symbols are as powerful as the Marlboro Man. He represents rugged individualism, adventure, and a certain kind of freedom. Of course, that image is carefully crafted, a product of decades of marketing genius. But before the Marlboro Man ever saddles up on a billboard, those cigarettes need to be packaged and branded. Once the cigarettes are rolled and filtered, they're fed into another machine that packs them into those familiar packs we see on store shelves. This machine inserts the cigarettes into cardboard boxes, seals the boxes with cellophane, and applies the tax stamps required by law. But it's the branding that really sells the product. The Marlboro Man is recognizable around the world. He's the embodiment of the brand's image. even though he's been retired from US advertising for decades. The iconic Marlboro logo, with its bold red and white colors, is another crucial element of the brand's identity. It's a symbol of quality, tradition, and let's face it, a certain kind of cool. But behind that carefully constructed image lies a harsh reality. Cigarettes are addictive and deadly, and the Marlboro Man, for all his rugged appeal, is ultimately a symbol of the devastating toll that smoking takes on individuals, families, and communities.